Let's talk some sports, baby.
And remember, make tomorrow better than today and make today better than yesterday. And you know what we gonna do. We gonna holler at you until next time, baby.
Well, thankfully, Bucks and Saints was far from the only game in town this weekend in the NFL. Buffalo Bills and Miami Dolphins heated up the AFC East race with big wins over NFC foes. The Steelers survived a scare to improve to an NFL best 8-0, while Baltimore topped the Colts to stay in the rearview mirror. Other playoff hopefuls such as Tennessee and Las Vegas survived their games this week as well. So, Drink, action-packed weekend in the NFL, what results stood out to you the most?
Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up that opening week cupcake matchup with the Saints and Bucks in college football, that is. So you had the Dolphins and the Cardinals. That turned out that should have been the Sunday night game evidently, but, whatever. You got that game. Tua come back, showing that he can lead the offense. Kyler Murray, what more can we say about Kyler Murray? Brought back those young chills from 2018 when they was in college, Alabama versus Oklahoma. See these two stars go out there and will their team. Dolphins win with a walk-off field goal, and et cetera, et cetera. Don't let that get too far ahead of you. Then I thought for what it's worth, right? Pittsburgh Steelers and Cowboys, listen. I thought that was going to be a young smoke check. You was going to bring another, no name off the bench. And I mean no name. Can't even find this at Family Dollars. And I thought the Steelers was just going to come out there and smash them. Clearly, that did not work to my demise. I know Big Ben got hurt, left the game, came back. Cowboys actually played like somewhat of an NFL team. That was a bit surprising for me. Vikings threw up 34 points for what's that worth against the Lions. I mean, you just never know what you'll get in the NFC North nowadays. They just out here flopping around everybody other than the Packers. Ravens and Colts, that one of the games I pointed out in the last show. I wanted to see how Lamar Jackson perform against, a pretty good, above average defense. They did stymie him at first, but, halftime speech, something happened, change of philosophy. I don't know. When he came out in the second half and he looked more like the old Lamar Jackson. And then as that game went along, the Ravens pulled away. So that stood out to me. And then we had Buffalo about to piss me off. They're about to piss me off. Every time I say, hey, Buffalo, they got this. Oh, they got this. Here comes Josh Allen with the young choke job, the young Popeyes biscuits. Oh, but then they play Seattle, and I'm like, well, they're not going to beat Seattle. Like, this is Seattle we're talking about. Defense is horrible, but Russell Wilson and DJ Metcalf, they can make this happen. And then the Bills show up. And before I move on, I want to say this. This MVP race, you just don't know what's going on. Like, last week, it was all about Russell Wilson was like the leader. And I want to say Tom Brady was somewhere in that conversation. And it was talking about Josh Allen, and then they was talking about my point is Patrick Mahomes wasn't talked about as much in the MVP race last week. This week, he's leading the MVP race because everybody that was in front of him just took a nosedive. Like, from what I heard lately, it's Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers. They're doing this right now. It's those two. Russell Wilson had to take a step back. Tom Brady, if he was in there, he took a step back. The whole Josh Allen thing, like, I don't even know how they got started, but he took a step back just because he's Josh Allen. You know what I'm saying? So now, after this week, I think Patrick Mahomes back in there. And another thing that stood out for me is, the Chiefs, right? they're the only team I know for a fact in the NFL that could play around for 3 quarters and still win a game. I'm talking can just sit out here, do nothing but map for 3 quarters and then win a game. That's what the Chiefs can do.
Yeah, real quick, can I just me and Jay were talking about this the other night. Doesn't it feel like the Chiefs are just really flying under the radar despite being like, was it 8-1? Like just no one's talking about them. Like they're just no one mentions their games. Like it's wild.
Yeah, I think people underestimate. Like we know how hard it is to win one championship, then to come back and then do it again. And it's kind of like I think a lot of people are just waiting for the Chiefs just to fall flat, and they'll be like, "Oh, there we go. That we knew this was coming. That's why we didn't want to believe him." But at the end of the day, it's like, what? Look, they don't even take teams serious, and they still win. You gotta well, I don't want to say you gotta respect that, but like for a team to come in here and just be like, yeah, hey Pat, what we got going on, man? I had this cheesecake today. Like they're not even focused on playing football. It seems like, and then they just turn it on, they smoke you right quick, and then they chuck the deuces, and that's that. So I do think right now the Chiefs are looking like, if not the best team in the NFL, the second best team in the NFL. I think it's between them and the Steelers at this point. I think the AFC has probably the 2 best, most consistent teams right now. And then you get into the NFC teams. But, yeah, in a nutshell, just those little things, that was the action that stood out to me the most this weekend.
Yeah, I'll start with what I thought was one of the more interesting games coming into the week, and it turned out to be, I think, one of the best games of the season. That Arizona-Miami game was really good. Featured those 2 young quarterbacks, so you throw it back to the 2018 college football playoff. A little bit more even terms this time around. It wasn't the Alabama-Oklahoma nightmare that we're used to seeing out there, well, at least for Oklahoma. But I mean, listen, you can't say enough about Kyler Murray and how he's progressing and how he's playing, and he may be have taken the lead in front of Lamar Jackson as far as who is the most dynamic quarterback in football. His ability to throw the football accurately, consistently, might give him a slight edge over Lamar Jackson in that regard. But then you look at Tua and what he was able to do, and Tua's just got. I think he's got a little bit of that it factor. The only question you remember was the health. Barring health, I still believe he's going to turn out to be the best quarterback in this draft class. He was absolutely sensational in this game. It was just what you were looking for based off of his first game. Wasn't much to write home about. Had some trouble dealing with the pass rush of Aaron Donald. But he didn't in the end didn't need to do a whole lot, considering the Dolphins got a defensive touchdown. They got a special teams touchdown. This week you got a lot more from him, 20 for 28. Also had some key plays with his legs, but incredibly accurate, throwing the ball on the run outside the pocket, made winning plays. And I just want to say this, and I'm not gonna bang on Cliff Kingsbury, but there was a big 4th down play late in that game where they went with Chase Edmonds and he took the ball out of Kyler Murray's hands. I thought that was a mistake in my opinion. But other than that, both of those teams, when you look at 2 up-and-coming teams that to me I think are ahead of schedule, those are your 2 teams right now. They're playing pretty well, both of them, and the future is incredibly bright for both of those teams. Other than that, I thought you mentioned Baltimore and Indianapolis. Definitely a big bounce back performance for Baltimore. It looked like that game could have gotten. It looked like it was going Indianapolis' way. They're up 7-0. They're moving the ball. Then you get the fumble return, and that completely changed the game. And Phillip Rivers just flat on his back, laying down, wonder what happened. That was pretty.
Yeah, Phillip Rivers, huh? What do you know? What do you know, Phillip?
And as far as Pittsburgh. I mean, you mentioned them. They just tend to do that from time to time. 7-0. It seems like they're primed to absolutely just lay waste to somebody. And he just come in there. It's just the most lackluster first half performance. And then you got Dallas down there. I mean, Dallas pulled literally everything they had out the hat. They doing these. I mean, you had to do. I'm pretty sure on a punt return they had to act like he pulled a hamstring.
He did.
Next thing you know,
it was amazing.
You know what I'm saying? Next thing you know, the dude that feels the punt laterals it to him, and everyone's going crazy. And it's like oh my gosh, we made a play for one. And then in the end, Eric Ebron's just hurdling somebody for the win. It's just I mean, it was a good effort, but, on to the next L, the poor NFC East. I really got to hone in on one individual performance real quick. Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook has put the Minnesota Vikings on his back. You talk about a guy, I think, if you look up the phrase earning your paycheck, you should come up with the only result, that the first result you should get is Dalvin Cook. This guy, you look at what he's doing. 4 out of the last 5 games, well over 100 yards. He's had a 181, a 130, a 163, and he just ran for 206 over the Lions. And Minnesota, keep an eye on this team. I'm not sure they can overcome that 1-5 start, but they got a chance to go on a run here. They get Chicago, and then they get 3 straight at home. They get Dallas, Carolina, and Jacksonville. You can stack some wins. You can stack some wins right there, and who knows, maybe you can get back to in the thick of this wild card race. It's already a little expanded. Now with the COVID stuff, maybe it gets expanded a little more. Keep your eye on Minnesota. They could be primed for a run. But other than that, that is about it. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, never mind. That's the Giants in the football team. No need to talk about that.
Are you saying that's not like the most? To me, that mattered to me. I mean, for the tank for Trevor race. Well, when you're going to talk about that, the Jets.
Well, you go ahead and tell us about it. I'm good.
Yeah, I mean the Jets. We thought they were going to do the thing last night. Joe Flacco was out there.
Oh yeah.
Tossing dimes.
Yeah,
I thought all 4 segments of the show were going to be Pats and Jets. I was so crushed when I found out that we were not talking about that game.
Yeah, 1 for the Pats, 1 for the Jets, 1 for Cam, and 1 for Bill.
And hey, I'm disappointed because my conspiracy theory that Bill was going to blow the game looked really good until the fourth quarter.
Then
the Jets and Joe Flacco's arm punts decided that would call the game for him. But man, the Jets are just, oh my gosh. Do we really, are they going to go 0-16? Like they are, aren't they?
Hey, it's a good chance, and why not?
What's the only game left besides like what their other Patriots game? Like maybe they've completely packed it in by then. I mean, it's just. I was surprised that Cam Newton he didn't look all that great last night anyway, and that's not a very good Jets defense. I think that's I think the Patriots have a lot of questions coming down the road, win or not. But Daniel Jones did his thing where he beats Washington and nobody else. So now the Tank for Trevor-a-thon is 2 teams, just Jacksonville and the Jets. But looking around the teams that actually matter, I think one thing that was interesting was Tennessee kind of puked past Chicago. And remember, Titans lost 2 straight. They lost by a field goal to the Steelers, and then Cincinnati stung them on the road. And they kind of came back home, and you thought maybe the Bears were a team they could kind of get back right against. And they won, no doubt about it. But the Bears ran like 75 plays to their 55. Like they were running plays all over the place and moving the ball against that Titans defense. They just didn't turn it into points. And don't look now, but Ryan Tannehill is starting to look pretty average again. Last couple games, he was just 10 of 21 in this game for 158 yards with a career. I don't know if that's a career low, but a completion percentage is 47%.
Wow, that's shocking.
Looking a little suspect, and Derrick Henry, for what it's worth, wasn't all that great either. He only had about 68 yards rushing. So I don't know if this Tennessee thing is, that's something to watch because they definitely are still probably going to be could still win the AFC South and not would be a wild card team. Got to wonder what's going on with Tennessee.
Wait, Coach. Wait. So do you think Tennessee some fool's gold?
I'm just saying they could be. I'm just saying that veneer looking a little rough right now, but they got some chances turning around. I think they do. But, running down the rest of the list, you guys hit most of them. I mean, so tragic for a lot of the Chargers to lose another game in just a heartbreaking fashion. I mean, my gosh. Justin Herbert, great again, 326 yards. I mean, they had another great game, but couldn't figure out how to get the win. And I think the rest of these games y'all pretty much covered. I just wanted to highlight, as far as y'all talking about the MVP race, Russell Wilson has thrown 28 touchdowns, but he's also thrown 8 interceptions. And if we're talking about some of the other leaders in that MVP race, Patrick Mahomes, 25 touchdowns to 1 interception. That's a pace for like 50-2. Like that's insane. I guess no one throws picks anymore if you're him. But I think that's one of the things that hurts Russell Wilson in that conversation is this defense is so bad. I mean, you look at the defensively, they had 7 sacks on Sunday. They had 7 sacks. Jamal Adams is back. He has 5 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 1.5 tackles for loss, 3 quarterback hits. I mean, and that's on the rest of the pass rush. It looks like they improved. Carlos Dunlap in the mix. A couple other guys showed up, Jerron Reed, but that Seattle defense, I mean, if this is all they're going to be able to do, and they're going to have Russell Wilson throw the ball so much where he's going to have to throw picks just by a statistical probability of throwing 40, 50 passes a game. You gotta wonder, like, is how good is really Seattle if that defense can't figure something out? I mean, the Bills hang 44 on you. They're a nice offense, but my God, that's so embarrassing. And I always thought with Jamal Adams they'd be fine. They make enough plays, but not the case. So I think that this NFC race, if you look at the top teams, all these 6-2, 6-3 teams are all in the mix. It's going to get really interesting in the second half of the season. Who can come out on top of this kind of the cream of the crop that's all risen up here?